The Fittest Flat Earther is a guy who likes to try and prove flat Earth on Instagram and TikTok. He once messaged me on TikTok actually, and he said, "I know what you are, I'm not a fool, I'll pray you change your evil ways." And when I asked him what it exactly is he thinks I am, he said this: a paid actor for a B movie. Dear oh dear. Hello all and welcome along to another episode of Flat Earth Friday with me, Simon Dan. Thanks very much for joining me. Before we begin today, a huge thank you to the sponsors of this video, Surfshark VPN. Surfshark is a VPN service that makes online privacy protection easy and attainable, encrypting all internet traffic sent to and from your devices and ensuring your IP address remains hidden to make sure no one can see what you do online. On top of that, they block ads, trackers, malware and phishing attempts, and unlike other VPN services, you can use it on as many devices as you want simultaneously. Look, I spend a lot of time looking for flat Earth content on YouTube, so I spend a hell of a long time online, up to 6 to 8 hours per day. The internet knows a hell of a lot about us, so it's why we should care about our online data. You can use Surfshark to encrypt your personal information and send it via a secure VPN tunnel so no one can see it without your permission, which is great for protecting things like your ID. ID theft is an increasingly common and scary crime, but you can use Surfshark and its HackLock system to get alerts anytime your email address or password is compromised. HackLock will scan various databases of leaked information and notify its users if their data is found, so then they can take action. All you got to do is go to surfshark.com/SimonDan and that'll get you 4 extra months of Surfshark at an unbeatable price. Thanks again to them for sponsoring this video. Right, on with today's video then, which comes from the Fittest Flat Earther. He wants to tell us all about maps, and as usual, he thinks he's got it all figured out, just like every other enlightened flurf. We start as he tells us about the Gleason's map.
Have you ever wondered when and why they stopped depicting Antarctica as a ring that encircles the rest of the continents?
No, because in reality, no credible map maker ever drew Antarctica as a ring around the continents like that. The idea only appeared after the flat Earth model was invented in the 1800s. Early maps simply didn't show Antarctica because no one had discovered it yet.
Well, if you have, you should stick around. And if you've never thought about it, you should really stick around. You see, this is a real map from 1892 called the Gleason's map, and it could be found at all sorts of reputable online sources like the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee. It's even in the Library of Congress. And here it is from 1892. And it even says the new world standard of the map, scientifically and practically correct.
The 1892 Gleason map is not a scientific map. It's literally a flattened version of the globe using an azimuthal equidistant projection. It preserves direction and distance from a single point, but it massively distorts everything else. When Gleason called it scientifically correct, he was just doing 19th century marketing fluff. His map was meant for navigational reference. It even includes time zones around the edge, something that of course only makes sense on a rotating globe.
This map just didn't disappear in the 1800s. No, a very, very similar map called the CBS School of Air Map used by pilots in the 40s with a key and scale and everything, again, has Antarctica depicted as this white terrain all mapped out perfectly that seems to be encircling the rest of the continents.
That 1940s map was not used by pilots. It was a teaching aid from the CBS School of the Air, an American radio program for kids. It was designed to help students understand world geography over radio lessons, not to fly planes. It's also not a flat Earth map. It's the same azimuthal equidistant projection used by the UN logo, for example. A top-down view centered on the North Pole. My word, you're talking drivel today.
And it even goes back as far as 1587, where a very similar, almost exact looking map called the Montez map, again, depicts Antarctica now without ice and snow, so the climate has changed, but here it is, all mapped out, even with animal geography and the continents, all looking like something is encircling the other continents. I mean, America looks the same.
The Montes map of 1587 does not show Antarctica as a ring around the outside, nor does it prove ancient civilizations mapped an ice-free continent. It's just fantasy, that part of the map, based on guesswork, drawn before Antarctica was even discovered. Map makers of that era often filled blank spaces with imagined land masses or mythical creatures, or speculative southern continents, because they assumed symmetry, rightly or wrongly, in the way that Earth was made up. Stop saying stuff wrong all the time.
So what in Earth happened to go from all of these depictions for hundreds and hundreds of years to all of a sudden what I remember in high school, the map looking like this, where Antarctica is all of a sudden just a continent at the bottom. I mean, you all remember this, right? By the chalkboard, they'd pull it down and here's our map with Antarctica all at the bottom. What could have happened? What changed this? Why did they all of a sudden make this change?
Nothing changed, we just got better at mapping the planet, especially when we actually found Antarctica in the 1800s. Earlier maps were guesses. Modern ones are based on real data from satellites and sonar and aerial surveys. The reason Antarctica now appears at the bottom is simple. By global convention, maps are orientated with north at the top. That's it. You can flip the map upside down if you want. Antarctica doesn't care which way it's drawn.
Well, have you ever heard of the massive military Navy operation called Operation Deep Freeze that began in 1956, where they went to Antarctica? Funny, it's such a big operation and they never talked about it in my public indoctrination center. Well, they got some interesting footage. And here you go, right from the United States Navy photographic report, just the year after Operation Deep Freeze. And I got something that looks very suspiciously like that white Antarctica circular encircling the rest of the continents ice wall. And it goes on for miles and miles and miles. And the funny thing about it is it's concave, kind of like encircling something instead of a convex continent. And you'll see it goes on for miles and miles and miles. And here it is. You can literally see it here in the distance.
Operation Deep Freeze wasn't a secret mission to find the ice wall. It was a publicly documented US Navy logistics operation, supporting a massive global science project involving 67 countries. It was studying Earth's atmosphere, its magnetism, and Antarctica. That footage he's describing is literally coastal cliffs, where the ice glaciers meet the ocean. They look like walls because that's how ice sheets naturally break when they reach water. They aren't circular, they aren't enclosing anything, and they're certainly not the boundary of our world. They're just the edges of the Antarctic ice shelf, that's all.
And now just follow it around. Notice how it's concave the whole way. And the atmosphere becomes opaque here, so you can't really see through it, but here it comes back into view again. And it stretches endlessly. And they're up very high in an aircraft. And don't let the height of them fool you by how tall this is. Hundreds and hundreds of feet. And again, it looks very concave, if you understand what I'm saying.
What he's calling concave is just perspective distortion. When you film a long horizon from a plane, especially with a wide-angle lens, distant sections curve inward toward the centre of the frame. It's an optical effect, that is all.
And do you remember the year I said this was from? The footage from 1957. Do you know what was formed right after that in 1958? Can you guess? These guys, floating in space, NASA was formed literally the year after in 1958. I wonder if that had anything to do with them wanting us to look up instead of out, out where their space shuttle launches go.
NASA wasn't created because of Operation Deep Freeze. It was founded in response to the Soviets launching Sputnik in 1957. The US needed a civilian agency to coordinate space research, rather than leaving it to the military. Hence, NASA was formed. The look up instead of outline is of course a fun conspiracy slogan, but it ignores the fact that we've been studying Antarctica more than ever since NASA was created, with satellites, research stations and international collaborations. And conveniently, flat earthers don't ever seem to want to mention that.
We all know missiles go up and back down to the ground. Funny how they have a similar path. And funny how they launch from Florida and the Bermuda Triangle's right in this area. I wonder if they made it a really scary place because they didn't want us to find their trash floating in the garbage.
Rockets do go up and then arc across, but not because they're crashing back to Earth. They follow a gravity turn, which is a smooth curve, and this allows them to reach orbit efficiently. If they went straight up, they'd just fall straight back down again. As for Florida, it's chosen for launches because it's near the equator, where Earth's rotation gives rockets an extra speed boost. The Bermuda Triangle happens to be nearby because, brace yourself, that's where the ocean is.
And I wonder if they took this map, which is scientific and correct, and just wrapped it around a ball. You know, they just wrapped it around a ball so then that circular ring would come down to the bottom and form what they tell you is the bottom of a globe.
As I said, the Gleason map is not a scientific projection. It's a flattened globe, literally derived from spherical geometry. If you took a real globe and projected it onto a flat surface, that is what you would get. Flat earthers have it backwards. The globe Earth came first, the flat map came afterwards.
But now if they did that, that would distort flight paths and make things all different sizes and wonky. And our flight paths are perfectly straight, right? I mean, it makes perfect sense that when you go from New York to Moscow and you loop up by Greenland and back down, that's actually the shortest distance versus just going straight across the globe, which adds 1,000 miles. That's so strange.
Now, flights look curved because maps are flat. On a globe, aircrafts follow great circle paths. That's the shortest path between 2 points on a sphere. When you project that curved surface onto a 2D map, say the Mercator map, which we're all used to, the line bends north or south. On a globe though, it's a perfect straight shot. Here is your New York to Moscow flight on a globe, and it follows the shortest route, as I said.
Well, maybe because on this map, when you just go from New York to Moscow, it's just a straight line. And oh, it happens to cut right through Greenland. But if you take what they call a straight path across the globe, it actually looks like this on the accurate scientific map. You know, like you loop out and add distance, like you would loop out and add distance.
The thing is, the very centre of that Gleason map and the North Pole and the countries round it on the globe are very similar. So the flight paths would also look similar. But as soon as you go south past the equator, it all starts looking terrible for the Flat Earth map.
And I wonder if they manipulated the map where, you know, Antarctica is this terrain mapped out circle around all the other continents. I wonder if they would have manipulated anything else that they knew in this map. This map with perfect scale and distance. Oh, and it has something else. It talks about the seasons and the winter solstice and how the sun moves around the Tropic of Capricorn. And during the day, it lights up the southern portion of the Earth. You can go on and read the rest. But I wonder if they would manipulate that and tell us we are spinning around the sun 66,600 miles per hour, mind you. And again, put your attention to endless space instead of what they all know, that you can only get curved rainbows if you're under some sort of curved enclosure.
My word, he's got a lot wrong in this bit. First off, the Gleason map is not to perfect scale or distance. It literally says North Pole centre projection, a giveaway that it's distorted. Distances get wildly stretched as you go further south, and that's why no one navigates with it. Next, the 66,600 miles per hour thing. That is just a coincidence, that number. It's roughly Earth's orbital speed in miles per hour, and it comes from dividing distance by time, that's it. And finally, curved rainbows prove a dome? No. Rainbows are circular because sunlight refracts and reflects inside water droplets at a specific angle, around 42 degrees. You're seeing part of a light circle. You could get the same shape from a garden hose. No dome required. Wow, if your fitness regime is as hot as your physics, then you definitely are not the fittest flat earther. Well, actually you might be. Not a hard contest, I imagine. So there we go. What do we all think of that one from the fittest flat earther there? Let me know in the comments below. As I say, we're all done and dusted for another video. Thanks so much for watching today. As ever, it's appreciated. If you enjoyed it, please do consider subscribing to the channel, hitting the thumbs up button too. Just enough time to once again thank Surfshark for sponsoring today's video. Remember, go to surfshark.com/SimonDan for 4 months extra Surfshark at an unbeatable price. I've been Simon Dan. Have yourselves a great day and I'll see you tomorrow for another Saturday session. See you then.